Mr. Buffett has very different expectations from these lunches. He said that the lunch was starting around 1 o'clock. He said, I have nothing to do all afternoon. I am here for as long as you want me to be here. When you get tired of me, you let me know and I will leave. My wife was with me at the lunch, and I told Mr. Buffett that she is a big fan of yours. But the true love of her life is Charlie Munger. Warren Buffett got very competitive. He said, my partner, Charlie Munger, is a very boring person. He's a useless person to have lunch with. I am the one who is interesting, not Charlie. I'm going to set you guys up to have lunch with Charlie. And after that lunch, you will understand that I am the better lunch partner. I thought he was joking about all this.
Let's start with talking about that famous lunch, Warren Buffett. You won that lunch at an annual charity auction for $650K, which is a lot of money, which was the record at the time. Looking back, was it worth every penny?
Yeah, the lunch, from my point of view, was one of the best deals ever. It was a true bargain in
It was
terms
a
of what
bargain.
it was a bargain when you look back now for what transpired after that. Warren has stopped doing these lunches. He was doing one of these lunches every year. The last year when he did the lunch, it went for more than $26 million, which was, I think, 2, 3 years ago. And so our 650,000 bid was a very small portion of that. So that was pretty good. And the second reason it was a bargain, and even the reason why I was interested in bidding for it and having lunch with Mr. Buffett, was for a couple of reasons. If we were alive in the time of Gandhi or Newton or Einstein or, any other luminaries who have come before us, Churchill and so on, and if we had a chance to sit down and have lunch with them, the two questions that come up is, would we want to do that? And secondly, what might you be willing to pay for that? Right? And so we had a situation where I think Warren Buffett might be similar in their class of people, kind of the most accomplished investor ever, best investor ever. And he was alive versus all these people who are dead. And he was willing to take a bribe to have a lunch meal. And at that time, in 2007, when I was bidding on the lunch, I had based my entire career on his intellectual property and learning from him, from all his writings and talks and everything. And by that time in 2007, I had made more than $70 million directly from applying the principles of Warren Buffett. I felt like a tuition bill was due. And so I asked myself, what is an appropriate tuition bill to pay to a teacher who has made you $70 million richer? And I thought 3% would be pretty reasonable, might even be low. And 3% was about $2 million. So in 2007, I was bidding on that lunch and I said, okay, the maximum I will bid is $2 million. And if it goes over that, then such is life. I had bid for the lunch in earlier years, but it always went beyond the amount I was able to bid. So I felt like 2007 was the year. And then there's a friend of mine, Guy Spear, my best friend, and I asked him if he wanted to be a co-bidder with me, because you can take 7 people to the lunch. And so I was going to go with my family, which was 4 of us, and there were still 3 seats left. And I asked him if he wants to come with his wife, and he could pay 1/3 and I could pay 2/3, because it was 2 seats versus 4 seats. And he said he was excited to do it, but he said that anything over $250,000 was too much for him. So I told Guy that he would be capped at $250,000. No matter what the bid ended up with, his maximum was $250,000. And above that, I would cover the rest. And as it turned out, the bidding ended extremely low at $650,000, less than 1/3 of our budget. And it was even below my friend Guy Spear's budget. So he paid whatever 216 or whatever thousand, and then I paid the rest. And what ended up happening afterwards is that my only agenda and interest in doing the lunch was to thank Mr. Buffett, is to look him in the eye and thank him and so on. I did not expect anything more beyond that. That was
Right.
the only
Right.
expectation. Mr. Buffett has very different expectations from these lunches. His
What did he
expectation,
offer? Yeah, what
well,
did he offer during that lunch?
his expectation is that he wants whoever won the lunch to feel like they got a big bargain. And so even when someone is paying 26 million, his focus is on making sure that the guy who paid the 26 million believes after the lunch that they got a big bargain. And so when Mr. Buffett came for the lunch, his agenda was to make sure that he delivered a lot of value to us, right?
Right.
And so the first thing he told us, so even before the lunch, his assistant gathered resumes and bios for all of us. And he studied all of them before the lunch. So he knew everyone well. He knew everyone's background. He had studied every person who was coming. And the second is, he told us when he came for the lunch that there was no time limit. He said that the lunch was starting around 1 o'clock. He said, I have nothing to do all afternoon. So he says, I am here for as long as you want me to be here. When you get tired of me, you let me know and I will leave. And so now I had another charity lunch with someone who was the CEO of Google at that time, Eric Schmidt. And that lunch was very different. Eric Schmidt's lunch took place in a cafeteria on the Google campus.
Okay.
And every 15 minutes, he was looking at his watch. Okay. And that lunch was scheduled for 1 hour. And at 1 hour, at 1 minute, he was gone.
Oh.
Okay. And so if I were to rate the two lunches, the Eric Schmidt lunch, 2 out of 10.
2 out of 10. Okay. What
out of
about the
10.
Warren Buffett?
I am a fair grader. It might be 1 out of 10.
Okay.
And because there's nothing I remember about it.
Right.
There's
Right.
nothing I remember which I can say, oh, this thing he said changed my life. For example, with Eric Schmidt. Warren Buffett, 15 out of 10.
15 out of 10. Wow.
15 out of 10.
Wow.
It went beyond 100%.
Oh my
And
God.
reason it went beyond 100% is that for a number of reasons. So during the lunch, my wife was with me at the lunch, and I told Mr. Buffett that she is a big fan of yours. But the true love of her life is Charlie Munger, not Warren Buffett. And Warren Buffett got very competitive. He said, my partner, Charlie Munger, is a very boring person. He's a useless person to have lunch with. I am the one who is interesting, not Charlie. And he says, because you don't know Charlie and you think he's interesting, I'm going to set you guys up to have lunch with Charlie. And after that lunch, you will understand that I am the better lunch partner. Okay. So I thought he was joking about all this. But then 2 days after the lunch, I see an email from his assistant to Charlie's assistant copying me, setting up the lunch with us and Charlie.
Wow.
And telling Charlie in that email that this couple who also live in California, they seem to think you are more interesting than me. But we know I
Let's
am.
put it to
more-
the test.
He said, Charlie, you know that I am more interesting. So you're going to meet them and then they will know. Okay. And when I met with Charlie for lunch, first of all, I enjoyed the lunch with Charlie much more than Warren Buffett. Okay.
I don't think
And-
that's what he wants to hear, though.
yeah. Well, his plan backfired. Okay.
I know.
And the second thing that happened was that a friendship got formed with Charlie. So I met Warren Buffett for lunch in 2008. I met Charlie Munger for lunch in 2009. And after that, I used to meet him probably with my family or my wife once every 3-4 months at his home for dinner. And also I used to play bridge with him at the LA Country Club once every 2-3 months. So it was a very wonderful, warm friendship. I also became friends with Warren. Warren, the friendship was not as close as Charlie because he was in Omaha. We used to meet him less often. But basically what happened with this lunch was it was buy one lunch and get infinite lunches for free.
Exactly.
You know-
I mean, now I understand why you called it a bargain because, I mean, so much.
Buy one and get 100 for free.
It's a good bargain. It's a great bargain. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing is that so many great things happened in my life because of the lunch. And like I told you before, my agenda was none of these things. My agenda was just to spend the 2 million, to pay the tuition bill, thank my hero,
Right.
and that was it. Okay. And after that lunch, every year I go to Berkshire Hathaway for the Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting. I've been going for 30 years now. Okay.
Right.
And after we won the lunch, so Warren Buffett has private brunch on Sunday with his close friends and his board of directors, senior managers, etc.
Right.
And he would invite Guy Spear and me for that brunch on Sunday every year. And when Guy and I used to go for that brunch, I felt like we were the only two yo-yos in the room, because I used to tell Guy, don't look behind us because Bono is talking to Bill Gates. Okay. So there would be NFL players in that room.
Right. Right.
There used to be Hollywood actors in that room. There
Wow.
were so many politicians in that room. Only people who were
Wow.
unknown was me and Guy Spear. We were the only two unknowns. And every year I said, they're going to figure out next year that we don't belong here and the invite is not going to come. But every year we keep getting this invite. So the thing is, the lunch was buy one, get infinite free. All these amazing
Right.
things happen.